Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be focusing on a seminar. This seminar was given by my father, Ron Donvito. He's the gentleman that created the close combat system for the Marine Corps, the line system. It was adopted in 89 to 98. After he retired, he would go around and during the time that he was running close combat for the Marine Corps, he would give sexual assault awareness classes. The entire purpose of this was to educate the local populace, anybody that would come to the seminars on predatory mindset, understanding true statistics on the crime, and his thoughts on what is necessary to prevent those crimes. And so, because of the seemingly recent increase of assaults on women and our youth, I felt like this type of a seminar uh, should be something that you have access to. Um, it was something that I found in a hard drive recently, and so I basically cleaned it up. So please forgive the low quality of the seminar, but just listen a little bit to the information that's provided. Once again, this is a free seminar that we used to give, and no matter how much we tried to advertise it, there was just a lot of difficulty trying to get people to come to this. So if you see or watch this video and you find there's value in it, please pass this on to those that you care for, you loved ones. Just share this. The entire thing here is just to educate anyone that has potential to run into someone that uh, potentially could provide violence like this. The more information someone has, the more aware they are. That situational awareness is going to be there. They're going to understand the dangers that they're in, and that incrementally will make them a little bit safer. They will, in turn, try to seek out training. They might arm themselves. You have no idea what type of impact that would have. So, once again, I hope you enjoy the video. If you have any questions on it or you would like us to update something that's within the video, then please let me know. Um, for those of you that are local to the North Carolina area, I am the lead instructor at a martial arts school called Martial Arts of NC. We give these types of seminars that are more focused on hands-on plus lecture. So this video is specifically just lecture. Usually after these seminars, we would do hands-on, but at my school, we usually every 3 or 4 months run a free seminar for anyone that wants to come for women's sexual assault awareness, prevention, and training. And so, if you are interested in something like that and you are local, please head over to martialartsofnc.com. Please contact us, get on the schedule, find out when we are running these seminars, and I'd love to see you at one of the seminars. If you would like for us to maybe come out to your local area or talk to you a little bit more about what we provide for training, then please contact us and let us know. All right, and lastly, if you are looking for any type of personal protective blade, specifically to provide to your loved ones or for yourself, make sure that you are checking out scallywagtactical.com. My personal designs are built and sold through Skallywag Tactical. I have a folder and a fixed blade that's specifically designed for personal protection. If you're looking to check that out, once again, go to scallywagtactical.com and remember that if you use the code ELITEU, you will receive 10% off any order that you have. So, uh, without further ado, let's get into this video and I hope you enjoy it.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Before we get started, um, it's important for people to know that this seminar I've given all over the world, and the subject matter that we're going to talk about is really serious. But I like to keep everything fairly light. Those that know me that come to this school know that um, I don't mind joking around, but there's times to be serious and there's times to laugh. One of the things is that we advertised this all over this area, and we had how many people signed up? Over 40. Yeah, we had 50 guaranteed, then we had another, what, 20 maybes, another 40 maybes, then another 200 that were kind of on the fence. I've been doing this for a long time. And what normally happens is that people decide that this isn't a priority to them. And that's exactly what the predators are hoping for, is that women believe that it can't happen to them. It won't happen to them. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you think about it, Florida is a warm weather state. Therefore, sexual predators will migrate here faster than they will to a cold weather state because it's easier to have prey year round outside. When Katrina hit New Orleans, over 30,000 registered sex offenders were displaced and they never went back. I wonder where they went. If you go on the internet, you can find out where all the sexual predators are. And within a 5 mile radius of the main gate of Hurlburt, there are over 300 registered sex offenders. So, I respect you for coming tonight for the seminar, and I hope it helps. Some of you are going to leave here with more knowledge. Some of you are going to leave here exactly the same, and some of you are going to leave here scared to death. And if it is up to me, and the only thing I can do is scare you, then that's what I want to do, because a scared animal is much harder to hunt than a complacent one. I've been doing this for a while. Go ahead and hit the slide, Mark. Mark's, everybody knows Mark. Go ahead. You want to take a bow? No. We're gonna go over guidelines. I have specific guidelines for all of my seminars that I give. I'm gonna talk about the purpose, and then I'm gonna tell you the background that I have. It's always amazed me that people will go to seminars or classes and not know what the background of the instructor is. For all the ladies that are here, right off the bat, there should be a question why there's a man teaching about sexual assault, because I can't have the same thought process that you do as far as the crime is concerned. But we will go over my background so that you understand where I'm coming from. As soon as that's done, we're all going to take a quiz. I don't want you to have any performance anxiety, all right? No one's going to see your answers. What it does is it gives me a platform to talk about stereotypes and about statistics that I think you should be aware of. If you do really well on the test, that means that you've got a good knowledge of the prevalency of sexual assault in our community. If you don't do well, then it's a good thing that you're here. After that, we're going to talk about predatory behavior and methodology. Those of you that know me know that for decades now, I've been teaching military men how to kill bad people. It's what I do for a living. But when we're talking about self-defense, avoidance is the best self-defense. Not being where the fight is how you win the good fight. If you have to defend yourself physically, you've made huge errors. And hopefully tonight I'll be able to point out some of the errors that most people make and how predators choose their victims so that you can just bypass being in that category. Okay. After that, we're going to go over an acronym, PREPARE. I spent 20 years in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm retired, but I still have to have acronyms because otherwise I have withdrawals. And so we're over a little bit of an acronym. All right, next slide, Mark. Okay, this seminar is for your benefit. This seminar doesn't cost anything. In the 30-something years I've been doing this, I've never charged for a seminar. And people ask me all the time, you know, why do I do this for free? Um, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I do understand that women are the nurturers of our society, and that men were left to just each other. We'd kill off each other within a week over a remote. All right. So it's really important to me that our moms, our wives, our sisters, our daughters are protected uh, from these predators that roam the streets. Some of the material will be graphic in nature due to the subject matter, but I've been teaching this for decades now, and so I'm really good at keeping everything generic. However, if you have a question that's very, very specific and you ask me a graphically specific question, I will give you a graphically specific answer. All right. When you see the statistics, or if you know what the statistics are on sexual assault, attempted sexual assault, they are so large that it would be impossible to have a group of women, this as many as we have tonight, without having probably several survivors of sexual assault or attempted sexual assault. If you are a survivor, then if you feel upset by anything that's brought up, because sometimes just talking about this subject will trigger memories or trigger some flashbacks. If that happens, you're more than welcome to stay here. You're more than welcome to stand up, leave, and come back. I don't mind emotion at all. It's a process of healing anytime a person goes through a traumatic experience. All opinions expressed during this seminar are mine, and they're not affiliated with any other agency. And the reason I say that is that most of you know me, so most of you know how I think. Um, those of you that don't know me, by the end of the seminar, you will understand how I think. There are two schools of thought in the psychological realm on sexual predators. There is one school of thought that says they cannot be rehabilitated. And then there's a school of thought that says sexual predators can't be rehabilitated. You can stop them from having that urge to commit these crimes. And I've spent the last 30 or 40 years devoted to the fact that you can rehabilitate a sexual predator through death. I believe they should all be killed. As a matter of fact, I volunteered to do it myself, even made myself a little badge, federal executioner. But the government, they didn't like that idea. So, next one, the only silly question or the only stupid question is the one that's not asked. Always remember there's no such thing as a stupid question, just questions asked by stupid people. No, I didn't mean to say it. All right. If you have a question, I guarantee you someone else has the same question. However, even if everybody in the audience knows the answer to something, the fact that you have the question makes it a legitimate question. Please ask those questions. We will be taking a break about halfway through. And if you don't want to ask questions in front of the group, come and see me afterwards. And when the seminar's over, I'm staying. So if you want to talk about anything, I'll be here for them. The last two are the most important. This is what I teach to all my martial arts people, all my women's self-defense students, and all my military students. Whatever information I give you that's important to you, you keep it. Any information I give you that you don't think it's not important, get rid of it. Because at the point of impact, when your life is in danger, you do not do what you're taught. You do what you believe will keep you alive. Your goal is to get what you're taught and what you believe will keep you alive to be the same thing. Unfortunately, most people don't do that. They practice one thing, yet when their life's in danger, they do something completely opposite. And since they haven't practiced it, they don't do it well. The predator, as you're going to learn, he is practiced in his craft. Just because, as Americans, we always make this mistake. Just because someone is bad doesn't mean they're not good at what they do. Just because someone is evil in their heart doesn't mean that they're not proficient at doing it. All right, next, Mark. Okay, the purpose of this is to increase the awareness of the crime of sexual assault, give instruction on avoidance and resistance tactics and techniques. Please notice that avoidance comes before resistance. If you properly avoid, you won't have to resist. However, once a tactical error is made, there is going to have to be a decision whether or not you're going to fight or not fight. And we will talk about that when we get next. I have this slide here. This is my background, and I read it because I'm impressed with myself. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have said that alone. I'm impressed with you, yes. Just real quick, I've been doing this over 30 years, martial arts for 40 years, and black belts, and yada, yada, yada. What should be important to you is that for 6 years, I was the advisor to the Armed Forces Medical Examiner on all homicides. My job was every single homicide that happened either to an active duty military, active duty dependent, or someone who was attacked by the military. I had to recreate the homicide and then act as an expert witness to determine whether or not the government was culpable. In other words, if military training caused that person to do that type of damage. During that time, I have seen several hundred women that were killed. Wives, mothers, daughters, sisters. I've seen what happens when women don't fight back, and I've seen what happens when women fight back ineffectively. That's why I'm here. This is what I'm going to pass on to you. Now, if it's never happened to you, I get this all the time. People say, well, you know, Ron, I'm 35 years old and I've never had to defend myself. I've never had any of those problems. Then I leave you with this before we go to the next slide. How do you know that the Lord in his infinite wisdom didn't put me in your life to get you ready for something that's coming? What we're going to do now, Mark's going to pass you out a sexual assault awareness test. Everything's true or false because I don't like correcting essays. And so, and so, and so please make this an individual thing, especially the front row over here. Okay?
Oh, you're talking, that's praise.
Okay. I've given this seminar basically all over the world, and the largest crowd I ever had was about 7,500 women, and the smallest crowd that I ever do is 10. Because I noticed whenever I tried to do under 10, and they got really self-conscious because you can only pan your eyes so much, and then it was weird. Wherever I go, everybody wants to know one thing, and that is what's a good score on the test. Well, if you get 100, that's what I want. If you miss one, maybe two, then you're okay, but you still need to understand some more. Anything more than two, then it's a good thing you're here. All questions are false.
All the questions are false.
All the questions are false. Okay, I know everyone got 100, but I'm already up here. So let me go over it anyways. Especially the first row, right? We all got 100.
The 7 good? Now we do.
Question number 1. In 50% of sexual assaults, the attacker and victim are from the same socioeconomic status and race. That is false. It is 95%. As I said before, every single question that I have on this was put there for a specific purpose. One of the biggest misconceptions that we have is that the rapist is going to look different, that the rapist is going to have a trench coat, going to come out of the dark, is going to be the rapist. And in most cases, it's someone that you know, someone that you work with, someone that you're not even going to be able to understand that they're attacking. The closer the relationship is between the attacker and the victim, the harder it is psychologically to start self-defense. Question number 2. 1 out of 10 attacks take place inside the victim's home. That is false. It is 4 out of 10. Bless you. And in military housing units, it is much higher than that. Especially with the deployment schedules now. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna ask why does that?
Because of the military deployment schedules, it is very easy to know when husbands are gone. Also, many sexual assaults are committed by other servicemen who volunteer to help and then use that as a way to get in the house by being invited. Once a person is invited into the house, when the husband is gone, it is almost impossible to prosecute that person. Because then it just becomes a he said, she said. Unless you kill him, then it's different. Really? What's that?
That I fucking say it again. Like.
Question number 3. Over 40% of attacks occur between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. This is when most people are asleep. This is when most people think that sexual assaults take place. But in actuality, 43% take place between 6 p.m. and midnight, when most people are out and about. The reason I have this on the quiz is so that you understand that we no longer live in a society as we used to in the 50s and the 60s. We are now very transient, especially in the military. We don't have lifelong family friends that we live with in most cases. People do not want to stick their nose into other people's business. So bystanders cannot be depended upon to help you. You must take care of yourself. Personal responsibility is the first step in self-protection. 45% of males who rape young boys report that they are heterosexual. This is not to address the crime of rape of young boys, although that is a problem. This is to talk about the fact that the crime of rape or sexual assault is not always about sex. Matter of fact, in most cases, it's about control. It's about rage. It's about degradation. And as you'll see later on, and I don't care why it's caused, because we just want to kill them, right? But you need to understand that what a woman wears, how a woman acts, where a woman goes does not make her more susceptible to being sexually assaulted. 98% of males that rape young boys report that they are heterosexual. Not yet. Yeah. What's that? Till the test is done. These next few are some of my favorites. Even if convicted of rape with a felony conviction, and there are sexual assaults in the United States of America that are deemed to be misdemeanors. That's like spitting on the sidewalk. Even if convicted of a rape with a felony conviction, 10%, that's 1 out of 10, will spend 0 time in jail. What that means is that a woman is attacked. She then has the courage enough to identify her attacker. He is arrested. He is arraigned. He is tried. He is found guilty. He is then sentenced. And 1 out of 10 of those spend 0 time in jail. But it's not 10%, it's 30%. 3 out of every 10 rapists, even when they're convicted, will spend 0 time in jail. Because certain portions of our society believe they can be rehabilitated, and therefore they work plea bargains so that we can go ahead and spend our tax-paying dollars so they can go ahead and go through these programs. I don't know if anyone's from Washington State. Actually, I do know. In Washington State, every year, $250,000 is spent on guard details so that rapists can get a job outside the prison and a guard can watch them so that they are integrated back into society before their sentence is over. Of course, if we kill them, we wouldn't have to do this. In the state of Virginia, where I worked a lot, the average time in prison, the average prison sentence for felony rape is 14 years. Now, some people think 14 years is enough. Some people think 14 years isn't enough. But because the prisons of Virginia are very crowded, a 14-year prison sentence in Virginia averages out to 6 months in jail. That means you can do everything correctly, get the person arrested, get them convicted, get them sent to jail, and in 6 months they can tap you on the shoulder in the mall and say, I know where your children go to school. Of course, they can't say that if you kill them. You may see a thread working through. 25% of all convicted rapists are rearrested within 3 years of release from prison. It is false. It is over 52%. 52%, over half of all rapists are rearrested for the same type of crime within 3 years. There has not been a single rape, murder of a young woman or girl that has been committed in the last 15 years by someone who did not already serve time as a rapist. My question has always been, why can't we kill the judge that let him out?
Stop me up. Repeat what you said.
What's that?
Could you say that again?
Which
You.
part?
About before you said
Within
we
the
should
last
kill
15 years.
There hasn't been a rape and murder of a young woman or child in the last 15 years that has not been committed by a person who had already spent time in jail as a rapist. That means they've already been caught, they've already been tried, they've already been convicted, they served their time, they got out, they did it again.
What about people who are put in prison for the first time?
What's that?
What about people that are put in prison for the first time? Is that what that's?
I don't know. I just that was just really
What do you mean the first time?
The people that have actually were doing.
Like if
they
they're,
already
if they've been
this.
they're reoffended. They would have to go in the first time.
They are reoffending.
Right, that's what I'm saying though. It's always a reoffender. Because they step up the violence.
Oh, you're saying a murder and a rape, not just.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, every large headline that you see of a young girl that is murdered and or raped
That person
and
is
murdered
already been
has been committed by someone who has already been a sexual offender.
I didn't catch that part. Sorry.
The person who took the young girl from Florida 3 years ago had been arrested, not all for sex crimes, but had been arrested 37 times. He worked at her elementary school. When the elementary school principal was asked how they could hire him, they said it wasn't their fault because there's a place on the employment application that says, "Are you a registered sex offender?" And he checked no. On any single day in the United States of America, there are approximately 121,000 sexual predators in the care of the correction system. That is false. It has now gone over 400,000. There is almost 500,000 known sexual predators in the United States of America. The Department of Justice estimates that the average sexual predator commits between 19 and 60 crimes of sexual predation before they are caught the first time. Go ahead and take 400,000 and multiply it times 60. Approximately 3 out of 10 sexual assaults involve more than one attacker, making self-defense much more difficult. That is false. It is only 1 out of 10. 90% of all attacks are done by a single attacker, meaning you only have to kill one person. It gets harder when there's more than one. They tend to run.
When it gets done on my first screen.
That's true.
It's like messy. You only have.
Well, she's not chasing anyone if she's in her heels. Her feet hurt too.
Well, I hate some things. It's a good way to say it.
Approximately 300,000 women are physically assaulted in the United States every year. This includes not only rape, but assault. It is false. It is 1.7 million.
What's the time assault?
What's that? Physical injury due to getting hit, push, shove. No, not birth. Now, here's something. We've had lots of programs. I've run programs, and people that know me know that. I've run all sorts of programs. We have a program going right now. And we never get any students to it, and I don't know why. We have a program that any man that needs to hit a woman can come here and hit me.
Yeah. Sorry.
The only problem is I'm gonna hit them back. Men don't hit women. Men hit other men. Once a hitter, always a hitter. There is no accident, no mistake. There's no excuse for alcohol or anger or stress at work. Once a man hits a woman, it will only end in one of 3 ways. She will leave, she will kill him, or he will kill her. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but it always ends that way. It's an incurable disease, just like being a sexual predator. There is no empirical data anywhere that anyone has ever been rehabilitated from being an abuser. They will stop for a while, but they will start again, and it will be worse. Sexual assault is motivated by sudden uncontrollable sexual impulses. That is false. 75 to 90% of all sexual assaults are pre-planned. I have personally worked on 2 cases where they were pre-planned in excess of 6 months. Both of them were military spouses. Both of them did the exact same thing, and they were on opposite sides of the country. They saw their victim at a function within a unit. They became friends with the husband. They waited till the husband was on deployment or on an exercise. They volunteered to help. One helped with plumbing, one helped mowing the lawn. After the completed sexual assault, they immediately got on their cell phone, both of them. Called all their friends, told them what had happened between Bob's wife and them and how she had started it. Neither case was prosecuted. Approximately 30% of women in the United States will be victims of a violent crime during their lifetime. When I started doing this in 1978, that is what the statistic was. That means that at that point in time, you could go to a hospital, go into the maternity ward, and out of every 10 female newborns, 3 of them would have been a victim of a violent crime before her life ends. And that was horrible back then. The statistic is now 75%. 3 out of every 4 little girls born in this country will be a victim of a violent crime or rape during her lifetime. $7.7 million women living in the United States have been victims of rape or attempted rape during their lifetime. That is false. It is 17.7 million. Most sexual predators are young single males with a history of criminal activity. We all know the ones we're talking about, the ones that make us look twice. The young guys with the baggy pants that are sagging down, the ones that are leering. But those aren't the ones. The stereotypical sexual assault perpetrator in the United States of America is a Caucasian male, late 20s to early 30s, with at least a high school diploma, if not college, who is either married or in a long-term monogamous relationship. A study was done several years ago at the University of Southern California and the University at UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles. They asked males that were in college that if they were guaranteed to get away with it, how many of them would rape their dates? The answer came up to 93%. 93% said that they would rape their dates if they were guaranteed to get away with it. Attackers that are not known by the victim commit approximately 70% of all sexual assaults. That is the opposite. It's 70% of the attackers are known by the victims. And as I said before, the closer the relationship between the attacker and the victim, the harder it is psychologically for her to start self-defense. In terms of our country, it is only very recently that all states have marital rape laws. As little as 20 years ago, 18 states, rape within a marriage was not a crime. I have given this seminar to many cultures where rape within a marriage is still not a crime. Approximately 800 sexual assaults occur each and every day in the United States. 800 women are sexually assaulted every day of every week of every month of every year in our country. And that is false. It is 1,800. And those are reported rapes. The Department of Justice and the FBI both have an estimate that only 14% of rapes are reported. Here in Florida, 8 years ago, a young college girl was hitchhiking to spring break. She was picked up by a truck driver and she was raped. She went to the police. They arrested the man, put him on trial. The judge let him off because he found out that she was wearing a sundress and no underwear. In the judge's opinion, that was good enough that she was asking for. If you go on the internet, you will find disgusting websites that are run by very extreme feminists and by men who say all the statistics I'm giving you are inflated, that they're not true, that there isn't 1,800 women raped a day in the United States. To those people, I've always asked, well, how many is an acceptable number? Is it 180? Is it 50? Is it 2? Is it 1? In our country, which we want to be the greatest in the world, the answer should be 0. I've debated on the death penalty many times in Washington. You probably can figure which side I fall on. And it's funny, but nobody ever wants to talk about the fact that the argument against the death penalty is that it's not a deterrent to crime. Yet no executed criminal has ever committed another crime. Never. And that's a fact. I can prove it. Dead people don't chase you. If it was about the fact that a young, pretty girl was wearing clothes that were designed to entice men, that she was acting in a certain way, that she was in a certain place that would set her up for a larger chance of her being sexually assaulted, where would the largest rates of sexual assault be? We make our living here off of it. Spring break. If it was about wearing skimpy clothes, drinking alcohol, and putting yourself out there, if that's what caused sexual assault, spring break would be nothing but a rapist paradise. But it's not. It's not even close. Rape statistics go up near holiday season when women are not aware, when they're overwhelmed by the everyday things of life and they do not focus on the bad things that can happen. But I've had large arguments with people that say, well, you know, if she's wearing this or she's wearing that. So that brings us to the next question. And I've asked this for the last 30 years. Approximately 20,000 rapes of women over the age of 50 are reported each year. And that's false. It's 60,000. 60,000 women over the age of 50 are raped every single year. In my experience working at rape crisis centers all over the country, the oldest survivor I've ever worked with was 96 years old. And this is the question I've asked for 30 years and nobody's been able to answer. What is it that a 96-year-old wears to make her so provocative that men can't resist? And of course, there is no answer to it because it's not about that. The opposite end is even more simple. Up until a year and a half ago, the worst case I had ever seen was the rape of a 4-month-old baby. But a couple in Tennessee blew that out of the water. The husband raped their 1-day-old child in front of the mother. If there isn't enough need for death penalty with that case, I don't know what they're looking.
What happened?
The husband was convicted of attempted rape and sodomy and sent to 12 to 15 years, and the wife went to counseling.
Was she an active participant?
It was
She was coerced. She just didn't know.
she was in bed. She was in the bed. Baby was with her. They closed the door. She didn't do anything to stop it. She said.
He asked the baby.
Every 2 minutes in the United States, a woman is physically battered. That means every 2 minutes of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, a woman is beaten in the United States. And that is false. It is every 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds in our country, someone's mother, wife, daughter, sister is beaten. Domestic violence costs approximately $3 to $5 million in medical bills per year. That is false. It's not million, it's billion with a B. Young boys that witness their fathers abuse their mothers are 3 times more likely to abuse their spouse than a child that did not witness domestic violence. That is false. They are 10 times more likely. A young boy that watches his father beat his mother is 10 times more likely to grow up and beat his wife. That's not the problem. The problem is that little girls that grow up watching their fathers beat their mothers tend to grow up and look for men like their father. And finally, approximately 300,000 women seek medical attention each year because of domestic violence. That is incorrect. It is over 1 million. 1 million women every single year have to go to the hospital because they are beaten by a spouse or a boyfriend. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a 5-minute break. And then after that, we'll come back and we'll talk about predatory behavior and methodology. All right, what we're going to talk about now is predator behavior and methodology. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are going to seem to be fairly extreme. Some of you, it's just going to be the same old rhetoric that you hear me spout off, well, every day. There's only two types of animals in the world. There are predators and there are prey. Sexual predators are called predators because they use predatory behavior. They choose prey for specific reasons. Predators do not attack other predators. They don't even attack healthy prey. They look for the weak, very old, the very young, and the sick. That's in the animal kingdom. In the human kingdom, human predators look for the unaware. They look for women that are not paying attention to what's going on, women that are overwhelmed by life. Slide. Thank you. First and foremost, you must understand that you are going to be in one of those two categories. And if a predator is going to attack you, he has already put you in one of those categories. So the first thing that has to be done is that you have to present an image of a predator to him so that he understands that he's made the wrong choice. The hardest thing to do is to face danger, is to move toward danger. We are hardwired to move away from it. Someone's walking behind us, we tend to walk faster. They walk faster, we walk even faster. All you are doing is psychologically triggering an attack because it's like running away from a dog. That person may not have known that you were prey, but now, because of your behavior, psychologically, you are sending out the signal that you are prey because you're running away from danger. Predators do not do that. Predators turn and face danger. The first thing that women have to do is learn to turn and face whatever's happening. Provide that predator with an image of another predator. Cause some sort of blockage in their thought process that everything's going the way they want. You need to understand how predators act. All predators stalk. They try to get as close to their victim as possible before launching an attack. I've worked on many, many cases all over the country. It takes nothing to buy a blue apron and push around shopping carts in Walmart's parking lot. It takes nothing to buy a brown shirt and baseball cap and knock on someone's door with a package. You have a choice. You can either live an aware life where some will think you're paranoid, or you can live as an ostrich with your head in the sand and hope that the statistics that I just showed you, which you can verify on the internet as soon as you go home, that you will be one of those 25% of the women in the United States that isn't going to be a victim of a violent crime. Predators do not negotiate. I hear this all the time. I tell all my students, never look in a person's eyes when you're in a violent situation. You don't look in a person's eyes because, number one, you don't know whether or not they have the ability to lie with their eyes or not. You don't know if it's going to tell you anything. And more importantly, you may look into the eyes of the predator and realize that his thought process is to kill you. Best to look at his chest and just do what you were taught to do to get out of the situation. But you have to present the image of a predator. Please don't hurt me. I have children. Please don't hurt me. I'm married. Please don't hurt me. I'm pregnant. Please don't hurt me. You can have my money. None of those are statements that come from a predator. When the wolf corners the sheep, he doesn't understand the sheep's talk. He only hears bah, and then he kills the sheep. You need to be ready to fight for your life. In most cases, that predator is not willing to fight. He's looking for a soft target, and there are many soft targets. You must make him think that he has made a huge error in judgment by picking you, thinking you were prey, and then realizing that you are predator. It isn't the size of the predator, it's the behavior of the predator that deters the attacker. Okay? Anything right there? What? Just about everywhere we've ever lived, I've always taken Mark to the zoo. And when we were in North Carolina, they had this real big zoo. And he loves watching Animal Planet. I love watching Animal Planet. And we saw the antelopes. And these animals were like gazelles, the kind that bound up and down. The ones that you always see in the documentaries about Africa. So I take him there. I said, watch, these things are going to jump up and down. But they didn't. They just walked. I said, well, hold on, they'll start jumping. And they started trotting, and they didn't jump. So I grabbed the guy that worked there. I said, hey, they're not jumping. What's going on? Kid wants to see him jump. What's going on? He says, well, sir, they don't jump because there's no predator. I was like, I always see him jump. He goes, well, you're probably watching a documentary on predators. I was like, yeah, I don't watch much about animals. Yeah, that's probably true. I said, so they jump to get away from the predator. He says, no, they don't. They jump to show that they are healthy. So basically, they jump high in the air and says, hey, I'm good to go. Don't look at Bobby as a bad leg. Or a strained calf. Yes. We live in a society that allows predators to walk amongst us. And the worst thing about the human predator is that he is the most efficient predator that walks the face of the earth. More efficient than a tiger or a lion or a bear or anything else. And why is that? Why is the human predator so efficient? Now, what number seminar is this?
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I told Mike. I was like, I think I like you said.
Why do you think? Why do you think the human predator is so efficient?
They blend in with their
How's that?
humans like everybody else.
Just like this.
What would happen to gazelles if lions looked like gazelles? There would be a lot of gazelles. I saw a documentary that I thought was extremely funny. If you're an animal lover, you probably don't think it's so funny. But these two guys, these two guys took two tigers from India, and because they're becoming extinct, and they took them to Africa. Well, the gazelles had never seen a tiger. So the tigers are stalking up to the gazelles, and the gazelles are going, "What the heck is that?" And they just like the tigers walked right up to them, and they're going, and they just killed them. And I was like, "Oh, that's not fair." That poor gazelle, he had no idea. He was like, "Man, never seen anything like that." The problem with the human predator is it looks just like everyone else. They walk amongst us. When I was in Alaska teaching up there, just for my normal stuff, I did research on sexual predators. On base, working at the Burger King, at the bus stop where the elementary kids got off every day, was a man who had been arrested not once, not twice, but 3 times for molesting children under 12. Which I got in trouble for because then all the moms and wives, they picketed the general's house the next day. So it was bad.
What?
But he worked there for over a year. They walk amongst us all the time. There is no cure for what they do. And people always say, well, they serve their time. No, they only would serve their time if they were cured. But they're not. There is no evidence that they can be cured. So one pedophile, one sexual predator puts every child, every woman in danger. In a society, which is what we live in, the needs of the many have to outweigh the needs of the few. How did I get already there? Go back, please. Thank you. Go one more. Back. Thank you. We're going to go into this acronym that I have. And the acronym says prepare. I hear this all the time, that people don't have time to train, that people don't have time to devote to being aware, that the things that I'm asking them to do takes too much time. That's your choice. You have to decide how important your life and the lives of those that you love are. You see the statistics. You know what the chances are. So you have to make a decision. Is it worth it to you? You must prepare before the point of impact. I teach something, and I'll try to keep it as clean as possible because I teach military guys. I call it the umbrella of BS. Is everybody aware of what BS stands for? Okay. The umbrella of BS is a principle that I came up with that says, even though I have no skills, even though I don't train, even though I have no experience, when my life is in danger, I will be victorious. And that is complete and utter BS. If you are in a fight for your life, a man is trying to kill you, how important do you think is your effort to stay alive? How important is your effort? How important is your intestinal fortitude, your I won't quit attitude? In a fight, how important is it? If it's important, raise your hand. It doesn't mean anything. It's a weak society way of getting you so you can live your life without spending any time preparing. And I'll prove it to you mathematically. Because everything I do is based off of math. If somebody was trying to kill you, not hurt your feelings, but trying to kill you, what do you think your percentage of effort would be to try to stay alive out of 100%? It'd be 100%, wouldn't it? Is anybody having such a bad day that you go, I just killed me? It would be 100%, wouldn't it? How about tomorrow morning? It'd be 100%. Anytime that someone's trying to kill you, you are going to try 100% to stay alive. If you had the ability to continue to fight, would you ever quit as long as you were alive? No. That's good. Congratulations. 100% effort. Going to do my best. I'm never going to quit. That's the good part. The bad part is I'm the bad guy. What do you think my percentage of effort is to kill you? It's 100%. I'm never going to stop, and I'm going to do my best. So when you have an algebraic equation with the same value on both sides, what do? They cancel each other out. They are known as constants. It's not special to give 100%. That'd be like saying, okay, for the next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to breathe. Well, congratulations, you're a special person. There has to be a variable that determines whether or not you live or die in that situation, and that determination, that variable is knowledge and skill. That is what keeps you alive. Not the fact that you have a baby waiting at home, not the fact that you just got married, not the fact that you're going to school and you have this life in front of you. Those have nothing to do with survival rate. You have to decide before the point of impact whether or not you are willing to take the time to have something in your bag that when you are attacked physically, you can pull it out and say, I prepared for this. Knowledge does not come to you because you need it. People that know me, they know what I've done in my life. They know how I act. They know how I think. They always get this question wrong. I was like, hey, I have to play Michael Jordan in his prime, one-on-one basketball for my life. What do you think's going to happen? People are like, well, you'd probably kill him. No, I would lose. No matter how badly I tried, he would beat me. He's genetically better than me. He's more skillful than me. He is going to beat me. There is nothing I can do. This brings us to the bad part. I have been training men to kill other men ever since I was 17 years old. I'm very good at it. Some say the best. I do not believe and never will believe that a woman can beat a man in a fight. So am I giving you that sentence? No. Because you will have something that no man ever gets, and that's a free shot. You will get an ambush because the attacker thinks of you as prey and will give you an open shot. I won't get an open shot. He won't get an open shot. We're going to talk about that if you decide you're going to resist. Next slide. First, we have to prepare our preparation. Sexual predators are looking for women with very low self-esteem, a very bad self-image, and almost zero self-confidence. You defeat this by having the opposite. You must have a real-world understanding. Winning a fight is not the hard part. Knowing that you're in a fight is the hard part. Most of the time when we are attacked, Instead of reacting to the attack, we are asking what is going on. Why are you doing this? Who are you? Instead of dealing with the problem, then asking the questions afterwards. Why did you make me kill you? Who were you? Next. This is a slide most people hate. You are responsible for your own safety, no one else. Not your friends, not your spouse, not your family. The official name of a policeman is a law enforcement officer. That means they enforce laws when they've been broken. I don't know about you, but I can tell you I've never had a police officer stop me before I was speeding. What's that?
You look like you're good at this.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me, Mr. Donvito, I was noticing that you were almost past the speed limit, and I wanted to stop you before I had to give you a ticket. Never had that happen. Nope. Bystanders will not help. We are in a society where if we stick our nose in someone else's business, we can have it bitten off. I worked on a case of a serial rapist in Maryland and Northern Virginia. What he used to do is he used to use the women's room in the mall as his attack point. It was probably designed by a sexual predator. It's at the end of a long corridor next to the men's room with an emergency exit right next to it. They always are. He had raped 3 women that way and walked out the emergency exit. What he would do is he would take a trash can once a woman walked into the ladies' room by herself. He would follow her, take a trash can, put it in front of the door so it looked like it was being cleaned. Then he would rape the woman, threaten her, and then would leave out the emergency exit. The 4th woman, however, she was a fighter. She fought him. She screamed. He grabbed her by the hair and bounced her face off of the commode. Broke her nose, fractured both of her cheekbones and both of her eye sockets. Blood was all over the floor when 3 men and 1 woman ran in to help her. He stood up and backed out of the stall, pointed at her on the ground and said, "I told you to keep your mother out of our business." All 4 people left because they didn't want to get involved in a marital spat. We live in a society that is based off of the nuclear family. We keep to ourselves. We are very transient in this country, and as the economy gets worse, we become more so, because we will go anywhere that we can to get a job. If bystanders help, God bless, but you cannot depend on bystanders to help. There was a woman that was stabbed 58 times over a 45-minute period in her apartment building in the lobby in New York City. 52 people heard it for 44 minutes. 1 called the police to complain about the noise. The police arrived in 2 minutes. She bled out 4 minutes later. People don't stick their nose in. You have to protect yourself. This is for all the young girls. This is for all the college students, all the women that go out in groups. I'm always with my girlfriends. Well, let me tell you, A wolf has never looked at a flock of sheep and said, you know, I'm really hungry, but there's too many sheep down there. The wolf cares not how many sheep are in the flock. One predator against as many prey, it doesn't matter. When you go home tonight, go ahead and Google a man by the name of Richard Speck. In 1962, he raped, sodomized, and killed 7 nursing students. The 8th survived because she slipped underneath the bed and he lost count. He had a 6-shot revolver with him. Do the math. 10 years ago, I used to have this article. I lost it in transit somehow moving. This is always one of my favorites. 10 years ago, a man held 26 people, half of which were men, hostage in a convenience store with a knife. With a knife. They could have gone to the canned goods section and pelted him to death. The anniversary is coming up of 9/11. I have received many, many, many bad emails and letters because of the things I have said about the people that were on those flights. And it was never meant to be derogatory. But none of that should have ever happened. You had flea-bitten, mangy little wolves among sheep. Even on Flight 93, they were made out to be heroes. The only reason they attacked is because their wives told them over the phone that they were going to die anyways. They had already been herded to the back of the aircraft. Every single solitary article written on that day said the same thing. The passengers were herded to the back of the aircraft. What type of animals are herded? You ever heard lions? You ever heard wolves? You heard tigers? No. I was in Fort Bragg. They asked me, called me on the phone. Hey, Mr. Donvito, do you know if there's any special forces guys on those flights? I was like, no, there was. Well, how do you know that? They held the planes up with box cutters. I would kill you for being disrespectful to me by having only a box cutter. You don't even have a gun? I'd kill you anyways having a gun. Because a military person is doing one of two things when they're on an airplane. They're either going back to their duty station, which means they're pissed off, or they're going on leave. And now you're interrupting him. I'm killing you just for that. We need to take back our streets. We need to take back our community. We need to let bad people know that our children and our women are to be protected. Next. Okay. This is it. This is the most important thing out of the entire seminar. Anyone that's had a child, anyone that's been around a child, knows that they are a miracle. They do things that no possible way could they have learned from us. God has created something so special in those little ones, and it's so hard for us not to screw it up as they get older. And there's no possible way that God, in his infinite wisdom, ever would have made something that incredible without giving it some sort of alarm system. Our children are pure in their alarm system. When they feel scared, they let you know. They don't rationalize it. Animals in the wild, they don't rationalize it. A deer doesn't go, it's probably nothing. It leaves. God has given us the perfect self-defense system. Women call it intuition, men call it gut feeling. Yet our society does everything it can to make us disregard it. You're being too emotional. You need to be more rational. That doesn't make sense. Just because you don't know why you feel different, why you feel fear, doesn't mean there isn't something there to fear. If you don't listen to anything I say, learn to trust that inner feeling. That is what will keep you safe. It will keep you out of danger if you trust it. And if you have children, it's your responsibility to protect that in them and keep it as pure as possible. Not to make them rationalize things. Let them have that feeling. We trust our dog's feelings more than we trust our own. When a dog starts barking, we always think something's wrong. Yeah, when we hear a sound, we're like, always what if a situation to the end. Man comes walking up to you, Walmart parking lot. You're getting into your car. He says, excuse me, do you know where this is? He could be a normal guy, but he's not. How do we know that? What's the first thing that should hit you square in the forehead? Men don't ask directions. That's the first thing. Second thing is, why would a man walk up to a woman and ask her directions? Third, why you? Out of all the people in the entire parking lot, why is that person coming up to you? So now you have a choice. You could say, I'm getting this weird feeling, but, all he wants to know. Or you can say, get away from me. You are too close. Back up. Your hands come up. You tell him, back off. He goes, what are you, crazy lady? You go, that's right. I'm the crazy lady. Now, here's the bad part. You will never know whether or not he was a bad guy. But the good part is you don't know him. The worst thing that could have happened is you hurt his feelings. You have to what if it to the end. If he's a normal guy, you give him directions, he leaves. But what if it to the other side? What if he's a bad guy? Why take that chance? And if he has the idea, why are you so jumpy? Why are you so edgy? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because 1,800 women in the United States get raped every single day. Just pull out the test and start reading off all the statistics. Because he needs to be educated because either A, he's a predator, or B, he's a moron. Either way, he needs to be dealt with. Last thing is, does it make sense? How many times has something bad happened in your life and you've said this phrase? I should have known that. You know why you say that? Because you did. God gave you warning. You just ignored it. Because we grow up in a world that doesn't want to talk about things that are not logical. We are not logical beings. It is not what we do. We're not computers. We're not robots. We have to trust that which is built into us. Next. All right, this is my favorite one right here. I'm going to teach you how to safeguard your home and safeguard your car. Everybody get your pens ready. Is everybody ready? Yes? Ready? Quick. Come on. I'm going fast. Okay, Okay, here we go. You can't. You cannot safeguard your home or your car. It is a fantasy. If someone wants in, they're getting in. Locks, alarms, bars, dogs. All they do is give you more time to prepare to kill the people that are coming in your house. And if you think anything beyond that, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because once they do get in, you will not be able to do anything. You will be psychologically frozen. Because you are counting on them not coming in. I've had people tell me, well, you don't understand. I have 4 deadbolts and my door is made out of metal. Yeah, I got a battery operated sawzall and I'm coming through the wall. Well, the police will be here. Police won't be here for another 8.5 minutes. You know how I know that? Because 2 weeks ago, I threw a rock through your neighbor's window and I timed him. Because that's what bad guys do. Lots of things can happen in 8 minutes. Next. For women, this is worse than anything else. You're raised to be polite. Yet politeness can get you killed in our society. We're taught never to be rude. Yet rudeness never hurts anything more than feelings. People ask me all the time, what happens if I'm rude to someone and they're just a normal person? Just because the person that's talking to you or has approached you is not the predator does not mean that the real predator is not watching. And when you act that way, you will be taken off his list because you're much too hard to target. Not 1, not 2, but 4 separate serial rapists that I have studied their cases use the exact same thing. They go to a mall or to a flea market, they walk by a woman and they bump into her. Her reaction determines whether or not she stays on the prey list. If she apologizes, she is now going on to the next test. If she turns around and yells and goes off on him, she's taken off the list because she's too hard to target. Unfortunately, most women are not taught to do that. They're taught to apologize. They're taught to be polite. I would love, do you know that there's an armed forces, there's a chaplain for each of the armed forces? The Marines have a chaplain in charge of all the Marines, and the Navy has a chaplain, the Air Force has a chaplain, and the Army. And then above him is a chaplain for all the armed forces, who answers only to the President of the United States. Well, he came to Parris Island, South Carolina when I was there, and I gave him a brief. And I showed him what we were doing. Kids were kicking and slamming each other, and blood was flying, and spit and vomit. It was just a great day. So I said, sir, what do you think? He said, well, to be honest with you there, Sir Donvito, it's pretty quiet. I was like, sir, I'm glad you brought that up. I was like, because if everybody went around hugging and kissing and wearing flowers in their hair, I'd be a hugging, kissing, flower wearing dude. But they don't. There are people out there that want to kill my kids, my young Marines, for no other reason than they're Americans. And my job is to bring them home. Now, if you got a better way of doing it by hugging, kissing, and wearing flowers, hey, sign me up. It's the same thing here. You can't talk a predator down. You can't negotiate with a predator. If, God forbid, you have to defend your life, you're going to have to use as much violence as you can muster. Last thing is, this is just life. All bad situations end up in bad results. No bad situation ever comes out good. No one is ever going to attack you. You're going to tell them about how they shouldn't do it, and then you're going to go to Starbucks and have coffee. Someone is going to have bad results. You decide which. Is it going to be bad results for you? Bad results for that attacker because you picked the wrong person. Next. There are two types of resistance, passive and active. Next. Passive resistance. There are many circumstances where a woman does not have the ability to actively resist. Some are psychological. The situation happens so quickly, so dynamically, that she is psychologically unable to physically fight. There are other circumstances. I worked on a case where a man broke into a second-story window, and it happened to be a 3-month-old baby's nursery. He picked up the child and brought it downstairs to the mom. There's no fighting there. Please understand that if you're going to use passive resistance, you're not letting it happen. It's a tactical strategy. Your focus must be on your survival. This may be the only realistic strategy available, and it always gives you the opportunity to be able to switch to active resistance if that opportunity presents itself. I worked on a case where a young cheerleader made a huge tactical error. She was a freshman cheerleader. Their football team won the game. On the way back to her sorority, a van came up that had 8 football players in it. They said they were going to give her a ride. She got in the van. Smart? No. Did she deserve to be raped? No. They did some things as they drove to a secluded area. They planned all 8 of them to rape her. When she got there, she told the person that she had deemed was in charge, I don't have a problem being with you, but you have to tell your friends to get out of the van. They all got out of the van. She kicked him in the crotch, pushed him out, and just started honking the horn. They all ran away. Passive resistance at first, because it was an 8-on-1. The last thing is the most important thing that there is. No one can armchair quarterback a situation that a woman is in. If she survives, it was the right choice. Anyone that truly loves that woman will embrace the fact that she is alive. They will not what if the situation. They will not lay blame as to why she was where, if she fought, if she didn't. They will understand that so many of those cases end with the woman dead. And the fact that their loved one is alive should be cause for celebration. Next. We're almost done, so stay with me. Okay. First and foremost, you don't turn it into a fight. In other words, as soon as that person's there, you don't square off like Mike Tyson and start throwing hands with the person. You always attempt to kill the person. That way, if you fall short, that person's still hurt. So many times you learn self-defense from someone and they tell you how to hurt someone. But if you fall short of your goal, guess what? He's not even hurt. Now he's angry. Now you are in a fight. Last thing is, please understand the consequences of your actions or your inaction. Now, everybody asks me, well, you make it sound so simple. Just kill the guy. Basically, yes, that is what I say. Sexual assault, is it a close-in crime, or can it be done at long distance? Gotta be fairly close, unless something's changed since in the last 2 hours, it's fairly close, yes? Anyone disagree? Okay. Does the person who is attacking you have to expose an extremely vulnerable portion of their anatomy in order to complete the act? Yes, they do. You take the palm of your hand and you slap that portion of their anatomy so it bounces off their pelvic bone. You grab it, you squeeze it, you twist it, and you rip it from their body. This will cause an involuntary contraction of the lower abdominal and groin muscles. When this happens, you now stomp on their ankle. Because they're not looking, the stomp on the ankle will cause massive damage, most probably a compound fracture where the bone will be protruding from the skin. You then grind that ankle as though you're putting out a cigarette butt. They will go into a fetal position if they're not there already. You will then start to stomp on their head and their neck until they no longer resemble a human. Then you'll call for help. It takes approximately 3 seconds to do what I just told you. And I will teach you to do that if you come train me. There was a case, very sad case that happened in Arizona, where a husband left his wife with a revolver. They had 2 children. Person broke in, walked into her bedroom, was silhouetted in the door. She picked up the revolver, turned the light on, told him to stop. She was going to shoot him. He didn't stop. She didn't shoot him. She took the revolver, drug her down the hallway, and shot both of her children, left her alive. Understand the consequences of what you're dealing with. There are some people that are normal and become bad, and there are some people that are born evil. Anyone that attacks a woman is an evil person, needs to be dealt with in that way. Next. Once the situation has been taken care of, you have to immediately get to safety, making as much of a scene as possible. I had a student of mine made a huge tactical error in Woodbridge, Virginia. Was walking back to her parking lot after working late at night by herself, made a mistake. Guy was walking behind her. She crossed the street, he crossed the street. She went back, he went back. After that, she knew that he was up to something. She grabbed a trash can and threw it through a plate glass window at a store. Alarm went off, the guy ran away. She had to pay the glass. Never caught the guy. Don't know why he was there. But she was safe. You always try to make as much of a scene as possible. But finally, psychological and emotional healing does not start until the survivor starts to feel safe. Safety is not always physical. Bless you. If someone breaks into your home, relocking the doors is not going to make that person feel safe. Whatever is necessary to make her feel safe has to be done so that the healing can start. This is it. Unfortunately, in our society, this crime can happen to you. You've heard the statistics. No one has the right to do anything to you that you do not want to happen, regardless of rank, regardless of religious or political rank or posture. Please assume that police, family, friends, co-workers, and bystanders will not be able to help you. If they do, that's a benefit. But you have to trust in yourself. Always understand that survival is the key. If you survive, anyone that truly loves you will embrace the fact that you are alive, that they did not lose you, even though they came very, very close to doing so. And here's the last thing, because I've worked with so many women over the years. If someone attacks you, they attack your children. If someone attacks you, they attack those that love them. Many times women don't know in their heart whether or not they can do what is necessary to get out of that type of situation if it takes killing another human being. But I guarantee you would have no hesitation killing another human being if that human being was attacking your children or those that you love. And when they attack you, they are attacking your loved ones. Always remember that whatever happens to you happens to them also. And that you are special and no one raised to do anything to you. God bless always. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed that content, we have more videos over here for you to check out.